You are sitting at a red light. The engine is idling. And then it happens. The RPM needle starts dancing. Up, down, up, down. The whole car shakes like it's about to stall. You grip the steering wheel and pray the light turns green before your engine dies right there in the middle of traffic. Sound familiar? Maybe your car has been hesitating when you step on the gas. Maybe your fuel economy tanked and you have no idea why. Maybe you have that check engine light staring at you from the dashboard and you have been ignoring it for weeks hoping it will just go away. I am going to show you the tiny sensor that is probably causing all of this. A sensor that 99% of drivers have never even heard of. A sensor that mechanics rarely mention because cleaning it takes 5 minutes and costs them nothing to charge you for. And the best part, you can fix it yourself for literally $0 if you already have the right cleaner, or about $8 if you need to buy some. 5 minutes of your time. That's it. Before I show you what this sensor is and exactly how to clean it, I want you to drop a comment and tell me if any of these symptoms sound familiar. Does your car hesitate when you accelerate? Does it idle rough or feel like it wants to stall? Have you noticed your fuel economy getting worse for no apparent reason? Is your check engine light on? If you answered yes to any of those, keep watching because this might be the easiest fix you will ever do on your car. Alright, so what is this mystery sensor? It is called the Mass Airflow Sensor, or MAF Sensor for short. And I call it the sensor. Nobody cleans because most drivers have never heard of it, most mechanics never mention it unless they want to sell you a new one, and most car owners have no idea that a dirty MAF sensor can mimic serious engine problems that cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars to fix. Let me explain what this thing actually does, because once you understand its job, everything else will make sense. Your engine needs two things to run: fuel and air. The computer in your car, called the ECU or ECM depending on who you ask, is constantly calculating exactly how much fuel to inject into the engine based on how much air is coming in. The goal is to maintain the perfect air-to-fuel ratio for clean, efficient combustion. The MAF sensor is how your car measures that incoming air. It sits right between your air filter and your engine, usually inside a plastic housing in the air intake tube. Inside the sensor there is a tiny wire thinner than a human hair that gets heated up. As air flows past this wire, it cools down. The sensor measures how much electrical current it takes to keep that wire at a constant temperature. More airflow means more cooling, which means more current needed. The sensor sends this data to your car's computer hundreds of times per second. Now here is where it gets interesting. That tiny wire I mentioned, it is incredibly delicate, and over time it gets contaminated. Dust particles that make it past your air filter, oil vapor from your engine, road grime, bug residue. All of this builds up on that sensor wire in a thin, invisible film, and when that happens, the sensor starts lying to your car's computer. Think about it this way. Imagine you are trying to measure the temperature outside, but someone put a thin layer of insulation around your thermometer. The readings would be off. That's exactly what happens when the MAF sensor gets dirty. It sends incorrect airflow data to your car's computer, and your computer, trusting that data, makes bad decisions about how much fuel to inject. If the sensor underreports the airflow, your engine runs lean. Not enough fuel for the amount of air. You get hesitation, poor acceleration, and potential engine damage over time. If the sensor overreports the airflow, your engine runs rich. Too much fuel. You waste gas, your fuel economy drops, and you might see black smoke coming out of your exhaust. Either way, you lose. And here's the thing that really bothers me. I have talked to so many people who have taken their cars to mechanics complaining about these exact symptoms: rough idle, hesitation, poor fuel economy. And what happens? The mechanic runs a diagnostic, sees maybe a code related to the fuel system or the air intake, and starts recommending expensive repairs, new fuel injectors, new oxygen sensors, new catalytic converter, when the actual problem might just be a dirty sensor that takes 5 minutes to clean. I am not saying every mechanic is trying to scam you. Most are honest, hardworking people. But here is the reality. Cleaning a MAF sensor is so quick and so cheap that it doesn't make financial sense for a shop to do it. They can't charge you 2 hours of labor for a 5-minute job. So sometimes the simple solution gets overlooked in favor of something more profitable. That's just business. But you knowing this information changes everything. By the way, if you are finding this helpful so far, hit that like button. It tells YouTube that this video is worth showing to other people who are dealing with the same issues. And if you want to see more content like this where I show you the stuff that saves you money and keeps you from getting ripped off, subscribe and hit the bell. I read every single comment, so let me know where you are watching from and what kind of car you drive. I love seeing the variety of vehicles in this community. Alright, let's get into the actual cleaning process. What you need: a screwdriver or socket set to remove the sensor, and a can of MAF Sensor Cleaner. This is important. You cannot use just any cleaner. Do not use carburetor cleaner. Do not use brake cleaner. Do not use throttle body cleaner. Do not use rubbing alcohol. Do not use compressed air. All of these can damage the sensor or leave residue that makes the problem worse. You need a cleaner that is specifically designed for MAF sensors. The most popular one is CRC MAF Sensor Cleaner. You can find it at any auto parts store for about $8. Some people say you can use 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol in a pinch, but honestly, just get the right cleaner. $8 is nothing compared to the cost of a new sensor if you damage this one. Step 1. Make sure your engine is completely cool. You do not want to spray cold cleaner on a hot sensor. That thermal shock can crack the delicate components inside. Also, disconnect your battery, negative terminal first. This is a safety precaution, and it will also reset your car's computer, which we want to do anyway after cleaning the sensor. Step 2. Locate your MAF sensor, open your hood and find the air filter box. Follow the big tube that goes from the air filter box toward your engine. Somewhere along that tube, usually close to the air filter box, you will see a small sensor with an electrical connector attached to it. That's your MAF sensor. On some cars it's easy to spot, on others it's hidden a bit. If you can't find it, just search your year, make and model plus MAF sensor location and you will find pictures or videos showing exactly where it is. Step 3. Disconnect the electrical connector. There is usually a small tab you need to press or lift to release it. Be gentle. These connectors can be brittle, especially on older cars. Then remove the screws or bolts holding the sensor in place. Usually it's just 2 screws. Carefully pull the sensor out of the housing. Step 4. Now you can see the actual sensing element inside. It might look like a small screen or mesh with tiny wires running through it, or it might look like a small probe sticking out. Whatever design your car has, this is what you are going to clean. Hold the sensor with the sensing element pointing down, spray the MAF cleaner in short bursts directly onto the sensing element. Let the cleaner drip off. Do not wipe it, do not touch it with anything, do not try to scrub it, just spray and let gravity do the work. Give it about 10 to 15 sprays from different angles to make sure you are getting everything. Step 5. Let it dry completely. This is crucial. The sensor needs to be totally dry before you reinstall it. Give it at least 10 minutes. Some people wait longer just to be safe. Do not use compressed air or a hairdryer to speed up the process, just let it air dry naturally. Step 6. Reinstall everything in reverse order. Put the sensor back into the housing, tighten the screws, reconnect the electrical connector until it clicks. Reconnect your battery, negative terminal last. Step 7. Start your engine. It might run a little rough for the first minute or two while your car's computer recalibrates to the now accurate sensor readings. Give it some time, take it for a short drive and see how it feels. Many people report an immediate improvement in throttle response and smoother idling. Your check engine light might take a few drive cycles to turn off on its own, or you can clear it with an OBD2 scanner. Now let me tell you about some mistakes that people make that can actually destroy their MAF sensor. First mistake, using the wrong cleaner. I already mentioned this, but it is worth repeating. Brake cleaner, carb cleaner, and other solvents can leave residue or corrode the delicate sensor components. Only use MAF sensor cleaner. Second mistake, touching the sensor with your fingers or tools. The oils from your skin can contaminate the sensor wire. Metal tools can damage it. Look but do not touch. Spray only. Third mistake, using compressed air. It seems logical, right? Blow off the dirt. But compressed air can snap those hair-thin sensor wires. Never use it on a MAF sensor. Fourth mistake, not letting it dry completely. Reinstalling a wet sensor can cause short circuits or incorrect readings. Patience is key here. Fifth mistake, ignoring the air filter. If your air filter is dirty or old, it is letting contaminants through that will just dirty up your sensor again. While you are in there, check your air filter. If it looks clogged, replace it. A new air filter is cheap insurance for your freshly cleaned sensor. Let me talk about how often you should do this. There is no official interval for MAF sensor cleaning, but many mechanics recommend doing it every 15 to 30,000 miles, or roughly once a year. I personally do it every time I change my air filter. It's become part of my routine maintenance. 5 minutes once or twice a year can prevent a lot of headaches down the road. Now I want to address something. Some of you might be thinking, okay, but what if cleaning the sensor doesn't fix my problem? Fair question. Cleaning works great when the sensor is just dirty. But sensors can also fail completely. If your MAF sensor is physically damaged, if the internal circuitry has failed, or if there are other underlying problems like vacuum leaks or a failing fuel pump, cleaning alone will not solve the issue. Use cleaning as a first-step diagnostic tool. It's free, it's fast, and it works a surprising amount of the time. If symptoms persist after cleaning, then you know you need to dig deeper. Also worth mentioning, there is a different type of airflow sensor called a Kármán vortex sensor. These are found in some older Toyota, Lexus, and Mitsubishi vehicles. They work differently and cannot be cleaned with MAF Sensor Cleaner. If you have one of these, check your service manual for the proper maintenance procedure. Most modern cars use the hot wire type that I described, which can be cleaned. One more thing I want to share with you. Remember those check engine codes I mentioned earlier? If you have a code reader or can borrow one, look for codes in the P100 to P104 range. P100 means MAF circuit malfunction. P101 means MAF circuit range or performance issue. P102 means low input. P103 means high input. P104 means intermittent or erratic signal. Any of these codes point directly to the MAF sensor as a likely culprit. Even if you don't have these exact codes, a dirty MAF sensor can trigger codes related to fuel mixture, oxygen sensors, or catalytic converter efficiency, because all those systems rely on accurate airflow data. I want to hear from you in the comments. First, have you ever cleaned your MAF sensor before? And second, after watching this video, are you going to try it? Let me know. I also want to know what car you drive, because I am curious if certain makes and models have more MAF sensor issues than others. Drop your year, make, and model below. Speaking of comments, I was reading through the comments on one of my previous videos, and someone asked about whether those cheap oiled aftermarket air filters can cause problems. The answer is yes, they absolutely can. Those cone filters that promise better airflow, many of them use oil to trap particles, and that oil can migrate onto your MAF sensor and coat the sensing element. If you use one of these filters, you might need to clean your MAF sensor more frequently. Something to think about. Let me summarize the key points. The MAF sensor measures air entering your engine. Your car's computer uses this data to calculate fuel injection. A dirty sensor sends wrong data. Wrong data means rough idle, hesitation, poor fuel economy, check engine lights, and symptoms that can mimic much more expensive problems. Cleaning takes 5 minutes and costs about $8. Use only MAF Sensor Cleaner. Never touch the sensor element, let it dry completely. Consider cleaning it once a year or every time you change your air filter. This is one of those maintenance tasks that I genuinely believe every car owner should know about. It's so simple, it's so cheap, and it can make such a big difference in how your car runs. The fact that most people have never heard of it is exactly why I make these videos. Someone needs to share this stuff. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor. Share it with someone you know who has been complaining about their car running rough or their check engine light being on. You might save them hundreds of dollars in unnecessary repairs. And if you want to see what other hidden maintenance tasks most people skip,